welcome to all of you. We recently started these sessions. Last weekend was the first one, and today is the second one. And there are more people on the way, but we must get started. Thanksgiving is around the corner, right? Next weekend. And so we thought, what could be a better topic than to talk about gratitude? And we do know gratitude does wonders in our lives. This topic has been taken up by us a few years back, and we have modified the presentation a little bit, but it's important to go over it again because I think so many things happen to us in our lives, and very quickly we kind of go back into a non-grateful kind of state of affairs for ourselves, and that doesn't help us, that doesn't heal us. So we need to learn a little bit more. I hope we are audible enough. The microphone system is still not working. It's in the works. I've parceled it out. I shipped it out for repairs, and if hopefully in the next few days I'll be able to get it back. So anyways, before we start, Kanishka, would you want to say anything?
I would like to thank everyone for showing up, for coming, because the topic itself is about gratitude, and we feel grateful for you all for being here, because we also have been looking forward to seeing everyone here, because we used to see everyone, each one of you, for so long, and all of a sudden everything stopped. But now good thing is that we are meeting again, once again.
Yeah, because when we come together, then lovely energy gets created.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask us, why do you keep doing these sessions for free? And it is because when we are together, then the energy that gets created, the happy energy, then gets transmitted out into the world. And truly speaking, we too can't be happy unless the world around us is happy. So there's a selfish interest in there. So each one of us has to be happy for any one of us to experience happiness. If the world out there is ailing, suffering, in pain, in a way, we know that there are two types of suffering. One is necessary suffering, quote unquote. But on the other hand, there is unnecessary suffering. So in a way, we can say pain and suffering. So pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. We have known this phrase forever. So there is a lot of suffering in the world that's unnecessary. People are suffering because of their own mindsets, their own behaviors, their own patterns that they fall back into. So many different things are happening. So I guess it's important for us to help each other create that positive energy so that we can all rise, we can all grow. Yeah, and then reach that state of a perfect, healthy, and happy world, right? Yeah. So how about we do a little bit of meditation, Kanishka?
Sure.
Take us through. We already did meditation with the music, but I think those on Zoom would also appreciate if we have a few minutes of meditation.
Sure.
I won't play any music because then otherwise, the
Maybe
sound.
gentle music you can play, I think.
I think,
It's
and then,
okay.
but it's live streamed to Facebook, then there can be problems with copyright and
Okay.
so on and so forth.
Okay, so let's together create happy energy. As we all are together here, we all can make this conscious effort to remind ourselves that we are together. We are not alone. And as we are together, we all can create positive energy, peaceful energy, happy energy. As each one of us has been gifted with so many beautiful treasures. So let's take this moment to remind ourselves of all the good things that we have in our lives. We all have been gifted with beautiful minds, such developed minds that we can use to experience and express ourselves. So take this moment to thank God for giving you everything that you have today in your life. Allow the feeling of gratitude to emerge from inside. Appreciate what you have in your life. This is the time that you have taken out for yourselves. Even this time is a gift for you. So be thankful for this time. The present moment is so special for you. So just take a deep breath in. And as you're breathing in and breathing out, also appreciate your own body, your lungs, for helping you breathe and exchange air. Taking in fresh air gives the body fresh oxygen. So be grateful for your lungs and also for every cell of your body. For giving you this chance to experience this moment. The moment you begin to appreciate what you have, you begin to feel really happy. And this energy of happiness makes you feel whole, complete, and full. Om Shanti.
Oh, Shanti, thank you. Hopefully it was audible for the ones on Zoom. Want to take a moment to acknowledge those who have joined on Zoom as well, our lovely, beautiful friends from all over. So a warm welcome to all of you too. So let's get going, I think, yeah, with this presentation. I think there's a lot to cover. We hope to be able to do justice to the presentation. And so the healing power of gratitude, the attitude of gratitude. Yeah, let's learn a little bit more about gratitude now. So what we will try to do is, like we always like to, is to take this topic in three parts. What is gratitude? Why gratitude, and how to be grateful? So what, why, and how? So that's the outline. And so what is gratitude, Kanisha? I know it is, would you like to turn this so that you don't end up with a sprained neck? Yeah, take us through the definition of
So you see here, the dictionary meaning of this word gratitude is it's a strong feeling of appreciation for someone or something for what the person has done to help you. That is what is the dictionary meaning of gratitude.
Right. That is something that has already happened. Only then you feel grateful, right? If something hasn't happened, then it becomes very difficult to be grateful. Just keep this in your mind, and we'll come to that in a moment. Because many people say, oh, nothing really has happened in my life to be grateful for. Then why should I be grateful, right? But we'll get to that.
But I like to split this word gratitude into two parts, great attitude or grand attitude.
Kanisha likes to play with words. So
yeah, because our attitude, it has to be great.
Thank you. I've never thought of it that way. It's a grand attitude. It's a great attitude. Yes. Awesome. Thank you. So there are two types of gratitude. State gratitude and trait gratitude. Now, have you heard of these terms? From a psychology point of view, Kanisha, you want to talk about this? So really speaking, state gratitude is that if there is a situation that comes to us that warrants us to be grateful, then we are grateful. Yeah. But then when the situation goes away, then we are not grateful. So it is, in other words, gratitude that is situational. Yeah. However, trait gratitude means that gratitude that is your inherent nature, your second nature. So no matter what comes your way, whether it is something that you need to be grateful about or not, in the worldly way, you still feel grateful.
That means gratitude is in your genes, right?
Right. In your DNA. Yeah. So deep inside, you are grateful. So what we need to do is to slowly shift ourselves into trait gratitude. Because what happens is, when things come our ways, we are on the top of the world. And then when they're taken away, then we fall apart. And this up and down emotional state can be quite devastating to the soul. In anesthesia, in medicine, we talk about that, a high blood pressure or low blood pressure is okay. But what really hurts the heart or the brain, and ends up with, you can end up with strokes and heart attacks, is when there are too many variations. And there is another cardiac anesthesiologist actually on the Zoom who would agree with me, is these variations. And so we don't want emotional variations to happen. A steady state is a good state to have. And that's why we need to develop trait gratitude.
Yeah, it's like, sometimes we're happy, sometimes we are unhappy. So it's like fluctuates. Right?
Yes,
So nobody wants sometimes peaceful, sometimes peaceless. We want always peace, right?
correct. Otherwise, it can be really damaging, because what happens is when we fall down, we'll sometimes literally fall apart. And then there is so much of time that we take to try to put ourselves together. And it's almost like damage control happening all the time. We are in this survival mode to fix ourselves. And then
And so much of wastage also,
Correct.
waste of time, waste of money, waste of energy, waste
it's
of
thoughts. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So trade gratitude, that's what we will work on today as we go through the presentation. So there are really 4 levels of gratitude. Tanisha, take us through these. Level 1. Don't tell anyone the level 4.
Yeah.
We'll let them guess that.
Yeah, and I think some of you have already attended, so maybe you'll be able to answer.
Yeah, but don't answer if you already know from the previous one, but let the others answer then. Yeah, Kanishka, go ahead.
Yeah, so as you see here, level 1, under this category are those people who are really extremely difficult to please. That means, they are ungrateful by default. Nothing can please them.
Yeah, or something really big, like $1 billion mega lottery. Yeah, that's what they call it, mega lottery or something? Yeah, that kind of lottery comes, or somebody gives them a Jaguar or Aston Martin, then I'll feel good, right? Other than that, I won't. That is level 1 gratitude. Hopefully there's no one here like that, right? All right, the next one.
So level 2, here people who are really feel grateful just by simple things. They look at sun and they feel grateful. Wow, what a bright sun. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, or small gifts even. Yeah, somebody gives a small gift, somebody does something small. Yeah,
Right.
and it's like, oh, they're happy because the sun is up and it's a nice day. They're grateful to the trees, things like that. That would be level 2.
Yeah. So their perception is like that. They're programmed, their mind is programmed
We
in such a
used to
way.
have one customer used to stay in our motel, and every single day when I see her in the morning, she said, "Thank God for another day." That's her word,
Yeah,
every single day.
yeah, thank God for another day. Wonderful. And then, okay, so sorry, the level 3. Level 3 is,
Yeah, level 3 here you see, they don't need even external things to be grateful for, to show their gratefulness. They are independent in a way, we can say. They're not dependent upon anything outside, but they are happy. They're always, they feel that yes, everything is good, and gratitude for them is a way of life.
which decorates their every
conscious moment. Yes.
Yeah, so that is level 3.
They're happy all the time, happy.
What do you think? Which level are you in?
Yeah, you can make.
You
an
don't have to
assessment
answer,
here.
please. You don't have to answer.
You can-
You won't be put on the spotlight. All right. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, whatever you think you are, that's perfect. But we can increase our level through this presentation. Hopefully, it will help each one of us
Yes,
go up.
For sure, under level 1, no one is there.
Yeah.
So level 2, level 3.
We kind of fluctuate between the two, right? Many times, most people. But there's level 4. For those who have never heard this presentation before, I would like you to guess. What do you think is level 4? Even those on Zoom are welcome to respond. Yes, Dr. Bhatia.
My guess is level 4 is when you can extend your gratitude to everybody. That form of being grateful at all times. If you can perhaps share or spread or whatever it is, just I don't know. That's my guess.
No, that's a wonderful one. That's true. In a way, yeah. You start doing that actually when you are in level 4,
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, who else? Anyone else? It's okay to be wrong. You don't have to worry. There's no wrong or right answers really. And those who know it from previous times, can answer too.
I haven't seen this before, but
No?
I
Okay.
was thinking that you can be grateful for pain.
Sure,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
you're there.
Right. So those who are the rare few
Yeah.
who are grateful even in adversity. So even when the problem comes, they're like, hey, I'm grateful for the problems that have come to me too, because problems can be seen as opportunities. We'll talk about that more in a moment. So that's our goal. Level 4, when we are grateful, or we have this attitude of gratitude, no matter what, good, bad, evil, ugly, whatever it is. And then, like Dr. Bhatia was saying, that we really start radiating our energy of gratitude towards others, and the others around us also start feeling grateful as well. All right. So now let's see why do we need to be grateful?
Mhm.
You want to take us through this as well,
Yeah.
Kanisha?
Because see, modern medical research is now showing so many benefits of gratitude. So people who keep a gratitude journal, so keeping a gratitude journal means, asking people to write down 5 things, for example, 5 things they're grateful for throughout the day. So when they were, they practiced this, keeping the journal for about maybe 8 weeks or so, then they found that there were many health benefits. They were more happy, they had less physical symptoms, So here they say that they had reduced dietary fat intake, 25% lower than those who did not keep the gratitude journal. And then their stress hormones like cortisol, there was a drop, 23% drop in those people who were grateful. And having a daily gratitude practice could actually reduce the effects of aging to the brain.
Which we talked about, I think, last time, right? The telomeres.
Yeah, I think last time we talked about that.
Yeah, telomerase lengthening and
Right.
yeah, the aging. I think we talked. We don't have to go over it.
Yeah, we already talked about that.
Good. Okay. And then.
So there are so many physiological benefits of being a grateful person. Your blood pressure will be on the lower side, and then your immunity, that is so important, especially in today's COVID era. Immune system has to be really strong. So immune function, if you want to improve, you can practice gratitude. And if you want to sleep better, you can be grateful, more and more grateful. And your heart health will also improve. You will have less inflammation. Your heart rhythms will also be healthier.
Yeah, most of the heart rhythm abnormalities we know now, something called as atrial fibrillation is an abnormality. Pardon me. Oh, I'm getting dyslexic for a moment. So that sometimes, you find even medical field is finding it virtually impossible to fix. And the substrate really is inflammation. And so if we can reduce the overall body inflammation.
Inflammation means, as if the body is in fire, this flame, like, this word
Right.
inflammation means inflame, your body is in fire. So if your body is in fire, then there's so many things that are harmful that's happening in the body.
Yeah, body will be messed up. Right. And there'll be better well-being.
Yes. And of course, the rates of depression are increasing, and people have these researchers, they have seen that people who keep gratitude journal and who write gratitude letters, they feel they are less depressed. The depression level is low, and they are also less anxious. There's less fatigue. So many benefits.
Yes.
Being grateful.
Psychiatric problems are really big in this country, right? Actually, it's all over the world. But I remember many, many years back when I was supposed to come to US, my uncle who was living here for many years. So I asked him what field of medicine should I take, which is really upcoming, or where I will not have problems with job and there'll be job security. And he said, you know what, take psychiatry then. Because 90% of America is crazy. And that's true. Everybody is on all these medicines. So if we want to reduce these kind of effects, then gratitude practice would be a good thing to do. But now here is the conundrum. How can we really be grateful in these present times? Truly, this is a very difficult thing to really have, gratitude in today's times when, well, yeah, you see, you've heard about the law of attraction. Who hasn't? They say like attracts like, right? We've heard that all the time. And so we also heard birds of the same feather flock together. We say money pulls more money, right? But happiness attracts more happiness, therefore health attracts more good health, and abundance attracts more abundance. We know that, right? I mean, we, in a way, from the law of attraction, this is what makes sense. But now think about it. You go back to the conundrum again. How do you feel happy when people around you are not appreciating you? They're not happy. They're not happy with you. Of course, each one of us is seeking a little bit of recognition, a little bit of, likes nowadays, Facebook likes, right? So everybody is wanting that, but everyone around us, if they're not appreciating us, then how do we feel good or happy at that time? How do we feel healthy if we find that every joint in our body is crumbling, is cracking, our bones crumbling, our teeth falling? Yeah, that's what happens to us as we age. How do you feel grateful then? How do you feel abundance when you are broke financially? So yeah, this is a big conundrum. But now I want you to take a moment to understand, as we go through a little bit of science behind this whole understanding of gratitude, that what we see, what we perceive is what we assume as the reality, whereas that may be very far from the actual reality. In science, we are now finding that in the brain, the interesting thing is that when we see something or we experience something versus when we imagine that thing, the same neurons fire up, the same circuitry fires up that we have seen through numerous studies with functional MRI, with positron emission tomography scans. We know for sure now that it's, which they call a simulation hypothesis, that if we eat, say, take a bite of chocolate versus we imagine biting into a chocolate, a nice light, nice dark chocolate, whatever you like, the same neurons sort of fire in the brain, not to that same extent as the action that we take. Yeah, of course, to a lesser extent, but it is the same neuronal circuitry that charges up. So what that means is, for the brain, it is very difficult to understand what is real versus what is imaginary. It doesn't really know whether you have imagined eating the chocolate or you have actually eaten the chocolate. Is that making sense? It's very difficult for the brain to understand. For the brain, imaginary is real. All right. So
what does that mean? That if we imagine that in some situations, in difficult situations, I am happy,
exactly.
I'm grateful.
Exactly.
So the same neurons will be lighted up.
Correct. Exactly. So instead of the upset neurons, the happy neurons will get fired up.
Yeah, as you are telling this, I'm reminding myself of this study where, there was this study that they did where they actually asked people to imagine as if they are Holocaust survivors.
Yeah.
And being a Holocaust survivors, they were asked that you have been given, all sorts of, shelter and home facilities and food and everything. Somehow you're getting that. So at that moment, you feel grateful. Imagine that you're feeling grateful. And then actually what they did, they did the fMRI, and they found that, those centers, the reward centers, they lit up actually.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Just
Just
imagining,
they were imagining.
right?
And
Yeah,
they were able to secrete the same kind of, hormones, because the reward centers means, the happy hormones were getting
see,
stimulated.
that also reminds me of the whole book that was written by Viktor Frankl,
Mhm.
the man's
Yeah.
search for meaning, and how many of these survivors were able to survive really through the pain and suffering of the concentration camps, simply
Yeah.
by imagining, simply by visualizing the happy state as if they are free from the concentration camps.
Mhm.
They were having great time with their family. Just that experience
Yeah.
helped them have, that kind of almost like the brain got fooled,
Right.
and then they were able to go through that pain and suffering. That's exactly what I'm trying to get at.
Right.
So what is reality? Now here I want to explain a little bit from the brain's point of view. See, the brain has numerous centers, numerous neurons, billions and billions of them that keep firing every time we do something, we see something, we hear something. But every moment, actually, here, if you see this, every second, a huge amount of information is being delivered to the brain. 400 billion bits of information from outside, from inside, because our body, there's something called as nociception as well, where every moment, actually your brain knows where every part of your body is. So if you keep your hand here, whether you're conscious or unconscious, your brain knows it, that your hand is here. Whether your eyes are open or closed, half open, half closed, your brain knows it. So every second, all the information from every cell of the body is actually being delivered to the brain, and as well as the information from out there too. But now what happens is that the brain doesn't have the ability to really decipher all of it, to absorb all of it. And so what we end up doing is that each one of us becomes aware of just a small fraction of it, probably 2000 bits of information. The interesting thing is that each one of us picks a different or sometimes overlapping fragment of the 400 billion bits of information that comes. Is that making sense? So you all could be looking at this slide right now. Each one is seeing something different, actually. You understand? You are seeing things based on how you perceive it. And your perception depends on numerous things. Yeah, of course, on one hand, your ability to see at this time, maybe you need glasses, you're not able to see it clearly. Maybe one of you has 20/5 vision, who knows? Yeah, somebody may be able to hear ultra well, somebody may not be able to hear very well. Somebody could be uncomfortable in the chair right now, maybe uncomfortable with the climate in this room. Many things are going to make a difference, but also what your beliefs are from the past will determine what you take up at every moment. You see? So for each one of us, therefore, reality is different. So look versus see, listen versus hear. What I am saying, what Kanishta is saying, each one of us is listening to the same thing, but hearing something different. What works for you, you hear. What you don't like, you block. Every one of us does that. So for each one of us, reality is different. And I like this quote which our professor in medical school used to say, what the mind doesn't know, your eyes don't see and your ears don't hear. And I have given this example in the past, that when you are listening to, for example, in medical school, we used to listen to the heartbeat through the stethoscope. And normally for you all, as you hear the heartbeat, it is the one, that's it. But actually there are two heart sounds, lub-dub, and only when somebody teaches you that, then you hear that. In fact, there are many more than that. In fact, there are 4 heartbeats, actually, really speaking. and all of that gets accentuated in certain medical conditions. Sometimes people have problems with their valves, and you can have many more sounds between the first and the second, between the second and the first, and so on and so forth. All that as a trained ear, you're able to hear. But for an untrained, the reality is dub, dub, dub. But just because for the untrained ear, that is the reality, is that really the reality? No, it's something more than reality. So in other words, what I'm trying to get at is we are constantly creating our own reality based on what we perceive, how we perceive. Making sense? So in other words, we are reality creating creatures. Yeah, we create our own reality. I've given this example in the past. We can talk about this. You want to share about this? Yeah, the clipper ship. They say that that long back when Columbus was invading one of the islands somewhere, going to one of these islands very early on. At that island, there were shamans. These very wise people who. So there was one shaman at one of these islands who was sitting at the beach, and he had never seen, nobody had ever seen a clipper ship like this. But so because he hadn't ever seen the clipper ship, he actually couldn't see it. He couldn't see it. It was there, but he couldn't see it. And so it takes time for these clipper ships or ships in general to enter into the harbor, right? I mean, there wasn't really a real harbor in those days, but to come close to land. And so it took maybe a couple of days. So the whole time he would go there and he would say, something is wrong with the waves. But he couldn't see the ship. And only when the ship actually came right there and people started coming down from it, and that's when he saw it, he went and told everyone that, hey, this is a ship. And then from one person to the other, everybody started to know what a ship is. So if the mind doesn't know a ship, the mind doesn't see a ship. Yeah, makes sense? All right, another example. There's an African tribe, they are very closely connected to nature. So they have the ability to really distinguish many different shades of green. And they have names for each shade of green. For us, we don't have too many, right? In English language, maybe painters have a few more, but 8, 10, 12, whatever, maybe, yeah, there are many more, maybe a little turquoise green or things like that, emerald green, but they have many, many more. And so there was this anthropologist who went there and he did an experiment with this African tribe. He made them look at this. Yeah, and he also made them look at this. So I know this picture doesn't project very well. Now, in this, there is the same here is actually a different shade of green. This one is blue. For them, actually, they don't really have a very good name for blue. But they have many different names for different colors, different shades of green. So they were immediately able to notice that slight difference in the shade of green, which normally human beings are not able to. We won't be able to. But they couldn't see that blue. Do you know that? They couldn't see it. And we would say normally that blue is pretty common. But actually, no, if you look in nature, blue is not very common. Green is much more common. The sky too, only during certain parts of the day and certain parts of the year would be blue. And actually, it is never blue. It's just an illusion. Water, we say, is blue. What is blue? Never. It is only a reflection of the sky. It's blue. But sky itself is never blue. It's just an illusion because of the diffraction, yeah, of the light. Yeah, it splits, and then there's a scientific reason why it appears blue. The blue sky is not blue. If you go up there, you try to take a handful of the sky, will it be blue? No. Yeah, all right. So you see what the mind doesn't know, the eyes don't see. Yeah? Now we can come to this placebo nocebo. Can you take us into this?
So you must have heard this word placebo. No. Placebo, it's a Latin word actually, and that means I shall please. Yeah. What does that mean? That whatever, you go to a doctor and doctor gives you medicine and tells you that this medicine is going to be really effective and it's going to heal you. Immediately, you believe, yes, this medicine is going to help me heal. You take the medicine and it works, right? So what is that?
It could be just a sugar pill. It could be a saline injection. That's what placebo is. There is no active medicine in it, and yet
It works.
it works. And it is so powerful that in research today, we cannot do any research really in medicine, in science, on any medicine, really, on any new pill, on any new procedure, unless we account for the placebo. So we call that as randomized controlled trial. If there's no study really that you can do, if that would be of any value, if we don't do a placebo-controlled trial. Whereas what we do is that 50% of the patients get the actual medicine, 50% get placebo. And then they see whether the placebo people who didn't even get the medicine, if they are also having the same effect with the medicine is having, then they say the medicine is not effective, probably. So this is placebo, that you think of it again, the mind thinks that the medicine is there.
That believe, you just believe, that this is what is going to work, and it starts to work.
You see, our belief creates our reality. And the same
thing with nocebo,
is the opposite of it.
Just opposite. It's not going to work. Doctor says it's not going to work, so it doesn't work.
Or even the side effects. Like, about
cancer chemotherapy, there's so many interesting incidents when, cancer patients, they know for sure that, yes, they're told beforehand that, when you go through chemotherapy, then you're going to get all these, symptoms, vomiting, nausea, and, things like that. And cancer patients, even on their way to the hospital, they start having those symptoms, even before their chemotherapy started.
And it has been seen in so many studies. They go there, they are not even given chemotherapy, and they start vomiting. Yeah, it is a saline injection. Or they're told, this radiation therapy, you will lose your hair. And then they are put into the radiation machine. Yeah, and they are not even given radiation, and they still lose their hair. Because they have been told by everyone that as soon as you go into radiation therapy, you're going to lose your hair. What is this? That's not nocebo. Again, what you believe is what you create as reality.
Even in surgery also they have seen, right?
Oh yeah.
Placebo patients, like they did not even, they said that, you will have knee surgery. They take two group of patients, one group of patients, they actually, did the surgery, and another group of patients, they just opened up. They did not do any surgery, but they just
made an incision
and just, tied it up. And then what they found that even these patients who did not have any surgery, real surgery, they started showing the results, positive results.
How crazy the mind is. Yeah. So now we'll go a little bit into quantum physics. Yeah, my favorite topic. But
he likes to talk a lot about quantum physics.
Yeah, but now is it making sense? What we are trying to get at is that constantly we are seeing things as bad. Can we stop seeing things as bad and change our perception really and see it as good? What we believe in, what we perceive becomes our reality. So if we believe it is good, what will it become? Good. Thank you. And then you'll be very easily be able to feel grateful. And if you feel grateful constantly as a trait gratitude rather than state gratitude, what will happen? All those things. Yeah, your blood pressure, your heart rate.
You will be benefited physically, psychologically, emotionally, mentally. And studies are now saying that there's very interesting word that they're using, that gratitude is like social glue. Because of gratitude, you show gratitude and you're able to make friends with people.
Most you make friends with yourself. Many times we
Yeah.
stop being grateful to ourselves, you know.
Right? I did something wrong. That's why,
Yeah.
why to feel grateful then? So
Right.
they have those kinds of negative energies that keep generating inside.
Right. So now a little dive into quantum physics. So I had talked about this in the previous session in another place. I won't go deep into that right now, but what we are finding is that um, at the subatomic level, subatomic particles behave in a very strange way. You know, so what we are finding is that if you look at any object, all objects are made up of atoms. Yeah, the smallest particle, but now we know that's not true. There are small particles smaller than atoms. So there are subatomic particles like the electrons, protons, neutrons. Now they have come up with many more smaller particles like quarks, right? But at the core of all of this matter, what they have found is that actually there is no matter. There is just energy. Yeah. So what we call as, from the quantum physics point of view, is the particle wave duality. That is, matter exists as wave, or particle exists as a wave of infinite possibilities. And as we look at it, then that wave collapses into a particle of experience. I know these words can seem a little complicated, but what I'm trying to say is that the particle really doesn't exist. Yeah. So like, for example, this table is made up of these subatomic particles. But at the core of this, of the subatomic particles, actually it is energy. It's just a wave of energy. There is no particle there. It just gives us an illusion of a particle, and then the illusion builds up to become a table. So in other words, the table itself is an illusion. All of matter is an illusion from quantum physics point of view. That's the truth of the matter. It's what we perceive, what we have been trained to perceive. See, this table, you recognize the table. Why? Because somebody has told you that it's a table. If somebody doesn't tell you it's a table, you won't even recognize it. Again, just like the Clipper ship. So think of it like, say, a pen. Pen is pen for an educated person. For a non-educated person, it is something to maybe clean their ears. Right? Yeah. For a dog, it's something to chew on. It is how you perceive it is what it becomes for you. So all of matter that we see is really just energy. And what we see it as, it kind of becomes that for us, that we are now finding from quantum physics point of view. Now, what they saw is that light, for example, or any particle, what they found was that when they were doing a very interesting experiment, this is an American physicist, his name was Thomas Young, and he did what is called as a double slit experiment, in which he had a cardboard kind of thing which has two slits, and he would send these particles through. Oh, we have an engineer here who would know exactly what I'm talking about. So correct me if I'm wrong, sir. All right. So here, he would send these particles through the slits, and normally particles would go either through one slit or to the other slit, and it's almost like you're throwing baseballs or footballs through these big, gigantic slits. Then there was a screen at the back where these particles would hit. And so normally we would expect this to look like two slits, because these particles would either go through this, and it would be two slits. So that is the particle kind of form, if you will, of the particle. But what they found was, when they were sending these particles and they were not looking at the particles, just letting the particles be, the particles were somehow behaving like a wave. And so just like if you have a wave of water that is passing through these two slits, the wave would break into two, create smaller wavelets, which would then interfere with each other. And that what we call as the interference pattern would be created on the screen. I know these are difficult things to understand. I'm just giving you a little bit of background. But what I'm trying to say is that when they were doing these experiments, at certain times, light or any particle for that matter behaved either as a particle or as a wave. And they couldn't understand why is that happening. What happened is when they saw that what they tried to understand the way it is working by putting a camera right at the level of the slit. As they turned on the camera and tried to look at it, the particle started behaving like a particle. Because as you're trying to look at it, you can't see a wave of energy, you can only see a particle. So that particle started behaving like a particle, and right away on the screen, there were these two slits. When they turned off the camera, that is, they were not looking at it, the particle started behaving like a wave and became an interference pattern. So is that making sense a little bit? That the observer, whoever is observing, is influencing the experiment. Before quantum physics was discovered, invented, how we want to look at it, classical physics always thought that the observer is independent of the experiment, or the experiment is independent of the observer. So in other words, the moon will behave as whatever way it wants to, or light would behave in whatever way it wants to, irrespective of whether we are looking at it or not looking at it. But what we are now realizing actually in the quantum state, all of matter changes its behavior based on how we are perceiving it, how we are observing it. The moment we try to observe it, that means we want to see it as something, so it becomes something for us. Is it making sense? There is another very important concept in quantum physics called as quantum superposition. So what it tells us is that the particle actually exists in different forms, different sizes, different shapes, in different locations at the same time. It's not different particles. It's the same particle that is coexisting at different places, different times, different structures, even different shapes. It has been proven. And then
It's non-locality.
yeah, non-local existence. Thank you. Non-local existence of the particle. And what happens is, as soon as you observe, you say, let me look here. All of those different shapes and existence, if you will, of the particle cease to exist. And it condenses or collapses into a particle at that point where you're observing. Very interesting. So what I'm trying to say is that when these people were doing experiments, the observer was determining the final outcome of the experiment. Now you let it percolate up to our physical world, because truly speaking, what we are now realizing that whatever happens in the quantum field actually does manifest itself at the physical world level. Although we are not able to understand it. If we can understand it, then we can use this concept, use this whole science for our benefit. What does that mean? That if I can see something, so here light as particle, light as wave. So if one observer wants to look at light as particle, the light behaves as particle. If the other one wants to see it as wave, it behaves as wave. Right? So now our belief, now here, let's go a little bit into psychology. Yeah. Have you heard of something called a self-fulfilling prophecy? Everybody has heard self. We've talked about it in the kids class, right? You remember? I don't know whether you were there now. Yeah, maybe. Self-fulfilling prophecy, everybody knows that. Yeah. So whatever we believe becomes our reality. Yeah, we see that. Say somebody says, is trying to climb a ladder. I'm going to fall down. I'm going to fall down. I'm going to fall down. And then he falls down. Yeah. For a long time, I did understand that. People have thought this is maybe something like magical thinking, but actually it's not magical thinking. What it is that we have to understand the links. The link is between belief and outcome. What is the link? What do you think is the link? Who will tell? What do you think is the link? How can our belief change the outcome? Vibration. Okay. Yes, vibration. Yes. Yeah. Good. But how are these vibrations created? Thoughts. Yeah, thoughts, vibration. Really speaking, all of this then changes our behavior. Make sense? Our beliefs change our behavior and therefore the outcome. Once you begin to understand this, then you're able to understand this entire equation. And then there is this Hawthorne effect. Kanisha, would you like to talk a little bit about the Hawthorne effect?
Yeah, I think it was about in that company, right? People were working, I think in Chicago company.
Yeah, it was a place close to
They
Chicago.
were, I think, manufacturing hat or something.
Maybe I don't know what they were manufacturing.
Yeah. So they were told that you will be watched.
Yeah.
Because I think the company was at loss or something.
Right.
So
Productivity was low.
Yeah. So you will be watched. So the day that was supposed to, they were supposed to be watched, everybody started working, very seriously. Efficiently. But
nobody was watching. They said we are putting on this, turning on these CCTV cameras, but they never really connected them. There was nobody observing them. But just by letting them know that you'll be observed, that changed their behavior and therefore the outcome. So if we can see ourselves or see everything around us from a different set of eyes, then our behavior will change and therefore our outcome will change. Make sense? So how do we change our beliefs? So there is an analytical mind, and then I think that would be a little bit too much. We can go into that in a moment, but is this making sense? So now let me wrap it up together. And what I'm trying to say is that when you look at, I don't know whether I put that slide. Let's see. I think I'm missing that slide. Yeah, I think I missed a slide. I might have accidentally deleted it. But now going back to that state where if, say, your bones, let's look at, say, your knee. Now, how are you looking at your knee? Are you looking at it as, darn this knee? It's hurting me all the time. It's falling apart. Or are you looking at it as my lovely knee that has helped me for so long? I have walked so many thousands of miles over the course of my life, and it has taken my weight. I've eaten whatever I wanted. I've never taken care of my health, yet my knee has taken care of me. Wow, what a sweet knee. What a lovely knee. See, these are two different ways of looking at the knee. How do you think the knee will respond if you look at it as if it is a piece of, I don't know, junk? Yeah, that needs to be thrown away and a new one needs to be put in, versus if you look at it as a nice thing. What do you think? Yeah, it will get worse. And if you look at it in a bad way, or on the other hand, if you look at it in a good way, it will behave well. And similarly, think of it as whatever you own. Yeah, you may not have much. You see, there are a lot of people who are very happy with very little. Whereas a lot of people who are actually more people who are very unhappy with despite having so much. Yeah, the more you have, the more unhappy you become. And you see, many times I've said that so many times that you go back to India and you get into a rickshaw or a taxi from the airport, and that guy seems to be so much happier than many of these people who are driving these BMWs and Jaguars out here. Yeah, their faces are so sullen. No, don't you agree? Everybody agrees?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, so it doesn't matter what you have, it's how you look at it. So if I can change the way I perceive things, and that too will depend on how I believe, I have to change my belief so I can change the way I perceive. And so my behavior will change, and therefore my outcome will change too. So whatever we have in our lives, can I really see these in the light of, good consciousness, happy state? Wow, thank you, God, for what I have received. Whatever it might be the smallest little thing that I have. I can see it in that light. And what will that become for me? The best of me. Even the people around me. Don't we keep complaining about the people around us? Yeah. So then what do they become? You look at it, it's very interesting. Say there's a person here. All right, let's imagine there's a person here. Say you look at that person as a crook, and say you look at the person as an angel, as a hermit, as a good person, really good person. The interesting thing is each one's perception will lead to the outcome that that person has created. The reality becomes manifest for the person based on what that person has perceived. So for you, that person could be the nicest person on this planet Earth, but he'll behave as a crook with you. Or he could be the biggest crook. I just am giving examples. We could also reverse it. Don't feel that you would look at. But the other person, whoever it is, or you yourself change the attitude and say, oh, this is such a nice person. That person will behave as that, even though he could be the worst crook on this planet Earth. He would still behave in the right way with you. He might be a crook with everyone else. We have seen this many times. The worst gangsters sometimes are the nicest people with their own kids or their own family members. No, haven't we seen that? So it depends on how, those people. So for the child, maybe she or he is looking at this dad. Oh, my dad is my hero. So dad manifests himself as a hero for the child. So now what this is telling us, that we can change our whole lives, our entire lives, simply by changing the way we perceive things.
And I think the studies, when they have shown that when people have kept gratitude journal, then they were much healthier and more productive. And I think this is the reason why, because when they knew that they have to write 5 good things, 5 things that they're grateful for. So throughout the day, their perception is towards, the things that they're grateful, because they have to write.
Correct.
So they have kind of changed their mind, the entire programming of the mind is to look at the things, that is really helping them feel good about it, so they're looking in through those eyes, third eye, maybe you can call that as third eye.
Sure, yes.
So looking at the same things that they have been looking at before, but now the way they're looking at those things has changed.
Correct. You begin to see it differently now. Like there are red cars everywhere. You might not even think of it. But when somebody talks to you about a red car, everywhere you see just red cars, right?
Yeah.
So whereas they are the same number of red cars on the planet Earth, So we are always changing the way we look at based on what we are seeking for.
Right.
So if you're seeking for things to be grateful for, these things will show up in your life, and you will then be able to change your entire life right there. Yeah, makes sense. So far, so good. I think that's about it. I don't want to go into that one. That's a different topic in itself, but I think we can conclude. Yeah, you can take us to the conclusion, Kanishka.
Yeah, so now we know that gratitude is both a state and a trait, but now we know how we can make ourselves naturally grateful. Yeah. And there's so many health benefits of gratitude. Gratitude can be a learned experience. You can learn how to cultivate gratitude in your life by keeping, we can maybe go over a little bit
Correct.
how to cultivate gratitude in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit more.
Yes. Maybe you can finish this here and then I'll
we can
give it
talk.
over to you.
So changing our perception changes our perceived reality. Changing our perceived reality changes our behavior. And then when our behavior changes, then that changes our ultimate reality. Yeah.
And this is the last slide. Can you read
Yeah,
this?
so Piglet noticed that even though he had a very small heart, it could hold a rather large amount of gratitude. Yeah, even Mother Teresa said, right, that you cannot do
Yeah,
great
you may not be
things,
able to do big
big
things.
things, but you
Big-
can do small things with great love.
Yeah, big love, great love. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, they say, oh, this person's heart is big. Is it really big, big? If it's really big, then it will compress the lungs and it'll, you won't be able to breathe. In fact, we get very scared in medicine when the heart really becomes big, if it really
There is
gets
a
big.
disease actually, that's
Yeah,
a
this heart
disease.
failure, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes when it gets really big, then it doesn't function right because the dynamics of the heart change, and then we have to replace the heart, get a new heart for the person. So big heart is actually bad.
He's cardiac anesthesiologist, so he sees all those things, on a regular basis.
Yeah, and so now you think of it, but there is no big heart really. There is no, it's just how you perceive it. You come to somebody's house and say, oh, this person has such a big heart. Yeah, why? Because the person is seeing things in that way, it's ready to accommodate people into his life, into his heart. That's how it is. So can I be the same? Can I be more accommodative? Can I have a big heart? Can I
And if you don't
see
have
things?
if you don't have a big heart, you can actually work towards making it big.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. And Kanishka, you want to take, but before that, I think 1 or 2 minutes, if anyone has anything to say or ask.
Any questions anyone has?
Yes, Dr. Bhatia.
So I missed that particular point where you're talking about the slits, the light going through the slits and all that. So I might have to ask you that another time. But the rest of it was very nice. And I don't have a question unless I understand that other thing you're talking about. But I really want to say it is perception. It is not just perception. It is your attitude that can really change things in life. So for example, you talked about Mother Teresa. So she looked after these lepers that nobody wanted to touch and nobody wanted to do anything about. But the goodness of her heart and her attitude helped. Similarly, in COVID times, when we heard of this particular group of people in Delhi who were taking these corpses that people were not even able to keep in their houses, or these dying people that they weren't able to keep. And these people kept them and burnt them, or whatever it was, at the cremations. So it is just sometimes people are made of a certain metal. And I don't know if it's that state or a trait or both that helps them go above and beyond. So we can talk as much as we can, and we do, but an action speaks 1,000 words. And I just want to say that it is a beautiful state and a trait that you're talking about. Let's also try and see how we can keep this attitude to help people in any situation, not necessarily a good, a happy situation or an easy situation, but the most difficult of situations. And just a comment that I'm making.
All right, wonderful. All right. Anyone else? No? All right. Yeah.
So you talked about the knee and
things like that. So in July, I actually fell and broke my wrist.
Uh-huh.
So I had surgery and I had metal plate and screws and everything.
Uh,
And so I was kind of upset at the beginning because I couldn't do many things. But then I realized I had to have the attitude of gratitude
Uh-huh.
because if I'm going to heal and make everything better and exercise, I have to think of it positively. So the way I thought of it is like when I fell, my wrist took all the force and broke. But then I fell, my back fell and then my head fell. So my back and my head didn't get hurt. So that's how I kind
yeah.
of translated it to be grateful for what happened.
Right. See, now you can look at any adversity that comes. Yeah. Now, if you see the adversity as an adversity, it will behave as an adversity with you. If you see this adversity as an opportunity, if you go back into the quantum thing, quantum superposition, the same thing exists as innumerable or infinite possibilities, between wave and particle. And so here too, there are infinite possibilities between adversity and a blessing or an opportunity. You could see it as 100% adversity, 0% blessing, or 90% adversity and 10% blessing, or any combination, or it could be 100% blessing, 0% adversity, 90% blessing, 10% adversity. Whatever you perceive as will become that for you. Make sense? So for you, maybe 90% blessing, maybe 80%, maybe 60%, it will become that for you. The same problem, the same situation will become that much of a blessing for you. So if I see my fracture or my illness as 100% blessing, it truly will become a blessing for me. There will not be any suffering, any adversity that it will make me experience it as an adversity. Making sense? Yeah, so that's what I really want everyone to go with. And no matter what comes in our lives, let's see everything as a beautiful blessing. Let's see everything as an opportunity for growth, and that's what it will become. See it as adversity and it will become bad for you. See it as a curse, it will become a curse for you. See it as the most beautiful thing that is a gift from God, it's a gift from the universe for you to grow, and that's what it will become. Yeah. And Kanishta, you take us into all these things that you were talking about.
So see, if we want to see whatever challenges, whatever happens to us, adversities, whatever, if we want to see that adverse situation as an opportunity, then it's very important for us to really practice, on a regular basis, this attitude of gratitude. That means, we should make our nature as natural. Naturally we have to be grateful for all the things that we have. Instead of focusing on what we don't have, focus on what we have. So every day we can make this practice that you can do various things, to cultivate this attitude of gratitude. You can actually, I like somebody said that gratitude is actually mother of all virtues.
Yeah.
Because this gratitude helps to develop other virtues. When we are grateful, that means we are very kind. We are kind to the other person because we are appreciating the other person. We are respectful to the other person.
And then we'll give because we feel that we have abundance.
Yeah.
Otherwise you feel, no, I don't have enough. I can't give it to you.
Right. Yeah. So it's really, it's a mother of all virtues. So if we make little effort every day to cultivate this gratitude, we can get a lot of benefit. And how to do that? First thing is, like we already said in the beginning, you can keep a gratitude journal. Every night before you go off to sleep, you can write down maybe 3 points or 5 points. I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for this, whatever you, throughout the day, whatever you watched. And then secondly, you can write a gratitude letter to maybe someone whom you think that you have not been thankful for. They did something to you and you have been holding on the grudges
you did,
inside.
or you didn't get a chance to say thank you. Yeah, so then
Yeah.
you can say,
And
right,
you
and
can
you
write
don't
a
even
letter.
have to mail it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can just write a letter. So that way, you are kind of cleaning your whatever stuff is in there from inside. Yeah. So that's another thing that can be done. Writing a gratitude letter.
And what we do in Brahma Kumaris is wake up early in the morning. And before the day starts, before the chaos of the world comes our way, we create that energy of gratitude in the morning. We thank
We thank God. See, whatever we have in our life, it is all because of the Creator, right? God. So first and foremost, every morning, thanking God for everything. So that's our, gesture. That should be our gesture every morning, thanking God. So that is another thing. And then, after you get up in the morning, as you take a walk, many of you might be taking a walk outside the nature. So that's gratitude walk. You can make that as a gratitude walk. Wherever you are going, you can just thank the trees, you can thank the sky, all the 5 elements of nature. You can thank the road. That's what I practice, And by the time I am back, I feel so happy. Because see, when you are grateful, when you are showing your gratitude, you're expressing your gratitude, then you are kind of, you are turning on the switch of happiness. So you're creating that happy energy.
Because again, what happens is the brain gets fooled, that it feels as if that you really have abundance. Yeah, that's what it feels.
Right.
Because you have created that. So you can't be grateful unless you have already achieved it or you've already gotten it. So you're expressing gratitude. That means the brain feels, oh, you already are so full.
Yeah. So that's why those happy hormones are secreted. And those happy hormones, they help the cells grow, all the cells of your body. They begin to feel happy when you are generating those happy hormones. So, people take those drugs from outside to feel that high. And we can make our own, those hormones, those happy hormones.
Yeah, there's a drug called as ecstasy. Street drug called ecstasy. Do you know that?
Yeah. You don't have to take that, but you can. Our body is such a
pharmacy,
good source of all these medicines. It's pharmacy actually. We can create, and this pharmacy is so cheap. You don't have to even pay or wait for the pharmacy to be open. It is all the time available for you, and you can get any kind of medicine that you want, because those happy hormones, once you start to create those happy chemicals, release those happy chemicals, they will exactly do whatever the body is needed. They will create other chemicals. For example, if you have pain, then those chemicals will go and they will create endorphins, that means endogenous morphins. Our body starts to create those natural painkillers. Then you won't be having knee pain anymore. You don't have to depend upon the external morphine injections. You can have your own, from your own inner pharmacy, you can get that.
And what we have seen is that, see, your behavior changes. Right now, you don't have pain, so you don't feel as if the knee is a problem. So then you use the knee in the normal way. And so in a way, again, the brain gets fooled. It feels as if the knee is normal. So it then makes the knee normal, actually. It starts to heal the knees. It will start to heal that body. This is so interesting. We have found it in science that the body will begin to heal itself because the brain gets fooled. It feels as if, no, it is healthy already. The knee is good, the liver is good, whatever. And then it will send in all these chemicals to make that thing really healthy. This is very interesting. This is deep stuff, truly deep stuff. We will stop aging, actually. We'll stop having high blood pressure. We'll stop having diabetes. We'll stop having heart attacks and strokes. Doctors will be totally unemployed.
Not good for you. Good for everyone else. Yeah.
Yeah, we won't have healthcare industry the way it is now. Yeah, the insurance companies are the ones that earn the most, and we won't need all of that. It's really speaking, not the doctors, but the insurance companies and the big pharma that's really earning big. So all of that nonsense will end if we can heal ourselves, and so simply by the power of gratitude.
Yeah. And another very important thing, if you really want to cultivate gratitude in your life and you're struggling with it, whatever you have, you can practice this exercise that, whatever you have in your life, see yourself without that and see how your life is going to be. Yeah. See yourself without your maybe one leg. Can I survive without one leg? Every day I am cursing my knee. Now see yourself without leg.
Sure.
How does it feel? Yeah. See yourself without this particular thing in your life, whatever.
Of that person. Yeah. Oh no, that person. Yeah. See.
Yeah. So one by one, this is what you can practice, and you can cultivate gratitude in your life.
And you realize that all of these things are for your benefit, actually. Without that, life wouldn't be the way it is. All these challenges are the reason why you are growing. These are the opportunities. These are the wonderful gifts that help you grow. So without them, it won't really help you. Right? Agreed? Any comments? Any thoughts? That's it. Everybody agrees? Yeah, no questions at all now. Yeah. Already happy. Happy. Yeah, no questions whatsoever. Anyone else? Oh, Dr. Bhatia has again raised her hand. Please, most welcome.
Beautiful session. When you said it's master of all attitudes, isn't that what you said?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, the master of,
that it's a master of all attitudes.
Or master of all other virtues.
Yeah, mother of all virtues.
Mother of all virtues.
Virtues. Yeah. Beautiful.
Okay. We're glad that it has helped.
You might feel me going in and out because again I'm driving. I have a friend who, I don't know if you can hear me, but every time when you ask her, "Kya hal hai?" her answer is always "Shukr hai."
Yeah, good.
Hamesha wo ek word kahegi, "Shukr hai." So I've also learned from her that when people are
right.
Yes. Simple thing like,
You're cutting off, Dr. Bhatia. Sorry, I think because you're driving, we
cannot hear you. But we get your point that if somebody asks you, how are you? What should be our response?
Yeah, I'm feeling great.
Yeah. Sometimes, people say, very
great. Now I'm going to add to that. Sorry.
Yeah, you're cutting off quite a bit, breaking off quite a bit. We could get what you were saying.
Yeah. So it's very important.
Next time that you talked about today. So I will not just keep the word grateful, but I will try and recount to myself what you said.
Right. So, yeah, so see, we can see ourselves as grand. Instead, Kanishka, you're saying, sometimes people say,
journal again, I think it's a very good idea.
I know it's difficult to, because when you're driving, it's very difficult to get the internet connection.
Yeah, but I think we all should make this form from today onwards, that when someone asks you, how are you?
I'm grand.
I'm grand. Sometimes people say, not too bad. What kind of answer is that?
Not too bad.
Too bad.
So I'm bad, but not too bad.
These are all negative words.
Yes.
Bad is one negative word, not is another negative word, and then you're adding even two. Yeah. So
what words we use, the lingo, the lexicon has to change too, as we. But I think the crux of the matter is that unless we truly connect to that higher source of energy, understanding who we really are, right, Kanisha?
Yeah.
That I am a soul, and as a soul, I am endowed with, I'm bestowed with
So many gifts.
so many gifts. I have been created as an image of God, and I vibrate at the same frequency as God Himself. And if I connect to God in that way as a
Mhm.
child of God, that everything that belongs to God already belongs to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should take every day, some time we should take out to make that connection with God, and and fill ourselves with that energy of happiness, energy of compassion that God has. That's why we say that God is the ocean of happiness, ocean of compassion. So when we connect with Him on a regular basis, that's going to help us become more and more grateful.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what we do in Raj Yoga.
Yeah. And I like to use, another word that I love, that to make that connection with God. And that word is solitude. So gratitude, attitude, gratitude, and solitude.
Mhm.
If we want to cultivate gratitude, then we have to take our time to be in solitude. Yeah. And in solitude, what do we do? In solitude, we make that connection. Yeah.
A very deep connection.
Deep connection with God.
Yeah.
So that when we are full, then we can give to others. Only when we are full, then only we can give to others. If we are empty, how are we going to give to others? So it's important to refill us every single day, because every day we become empty, right? So it's
Yeah.
important.
So
to
this
recharge.
connection with that higher source gives us that perception of fullness and completeness.
Yeah.
And so then our behavior changes. And
Mhm.
because of that, then our final outcome, our reality changes. Make sense? Yeah. So that's why it's important to connect to that higher source of energy.
Yeah, so
All
maybe
right,
we can end
do-
with a little bit of meditation.
Right. Unless someone else has any questions or thoughts or comments. If not, then we can end, right? Okay.
You can take us through that.
Okay. And then there are a little bit of snacks for everyone. I know some of you have traveled from so far. Some have traveled about 1 hour, some 2 hours, a little more than 2 hours. So yeah, we have snacks for a little bit snacks for everyone. All of that has been prepared with, again, a lot of love, a lot of gratitude. And so we invite you to accept it with that much gratitude towards God. Yeah, all right. So let's sit however you want to sit, but be comfortable and remind yourself that you're indeed a child of God, that you have been created as an image of God Himself. That whatever God holds actually belongs to you, because you are a child of God. And so and we all know that God is the highest source of all energies. He is the purest consciousness ever. He is the ocean of love, ocean of peace, ocean of happiness, ocean of all goodness. So as you see yourself as a child of that ocean of all of these energies, all of that positivity, you begin to sense fullness as well. All of these wonderful qualities, wonderful energies begin to seep into you. This connection with this highest source of energy begins to give us all a perception of wholeness, of completeness, of abundance. Almost instantly, we begin to feel grateful. Just this mere connection with that highest source of energy helps us cultivate an attitude of gratitude. And as we have understood, then whatever we perceive as, or however you perceive something, that becomes the outcome. That becomes the reality. So if you perceive fullness, if you perceive greatness within yourself, if you perceive abundance within yourself, then that's what becomes your reality. In this moment of stillness, where you have made this beautiful connection with that highest source of energy, nothing seems negative. Nothing seems like an adversity. And because of that, nothing will become negative for you. Nothing will become an adversity for you. Nothing will come to challenge you. In fact, in this moment, you're beginning to see things as blessings, as opportunities for growth. So once again, as you perceive things, that's how your behavior becomes, and that's what becomes your reality. So when you see things as blessings, then things become blessings for you. In fact, you yourself become a blessing. Yeah. Many times we see ourselves in a negative way. We feel that we are not loved by others, not accepted by others. How about seeing yourself as a blessing? And that's what you will become. In fact, right now, in this moment, see yourself as a blessing and see yourself turning into a blessing for everyone around you. Hold this consciousness for as long as you can. Don't forget it once you leave this space. I know in this space, because of all the positive energy that has been created over years, it's easier to hold on to this thought. But make a firm resolution with yourself that from now onwards, I will see everything as an opportunity for growth, everything, including myself, as a blessing. And that's what will become for me. Om Shanti.